Hi everyone, John O'Henry here, and I'm really pleased to be sharing with you a revised version of a talk that I gave at the Australasian College of Emergency Medicine Victoria Annual Conference 2024. And it's titled The Pearls Global Health Project, Early Lessons and Some Rules Broken. With the permission of ASIM, I'm re-recording it here just so it's accessible on our free open access medical education Pearls YouTube channel. So look, amongst emergency clinicians, I think obviously there are a spectrum of POCUS users. You've got your super users. Hey, I'll put my hand up, maybe I'm in that group. You've got your non-users, but then the majority probably sit somewhere in the middle. Your average clinician might just think, look, I've got this patient in front of me. I could go grab my ultrasound machine to scan them, but to be honest, I've got such wonderful resourcing here in my Australian emergency department. I've got great access to CT, sonographer performed ultrasound and x-ray. So look, for this one, I'm just going to order the scans and move on to the next patient. Perfectly reasonable. But imagine for a moment, put yourself in the shoes of someone who works here in Vanuatu, Tonga, Samoa, or Kiribati. Many of us doctors have done electives in places like this, disaster response, humanitarian work. We've visited these places, taken a holiday, driven past these hospitals. And in locations like this all around the world, even maybe in the biggest ED in the capital city, there's often no CT in country. The X-ray machine frequently breaks down. The local medical technologists might struggle to access the parts or have the expertise to fix that X-ray machine. The sonographer's ultrasound machine might be out of date. Their training background or their access to continuing medical education might not be very advanced. Often they'll have no radiologist interpreting their images, and they're too time pressured to perform comprehensive imaging on every patient. So put yourself in the shoes of an ED doctor working somewhere like this. Wouldn't you love to be holding one of these? This is a handheld ultrasound machine probe that plugs into a phone, a smartphone, or a tablet. And look, it's just one of many incredible products in an exploding market of really high quality devices out there currently in 2024. I should mention from the outset, I have no conflict of interest in any ultrasound company. And I don't need to go through how ultrasound is so useful from head to toe to provide so many of the urgent answers that we need in an emergency department. In 2019, I spent 6 months working at the National Provincial Hospital on the island of Santo Espiritu in Vanuatu. And I really experienced how pivotal POCUS can be in this type of setting, where the infrastructure around you as an ED doctor is a lot less reliable than what we're privileged to experience, say, here in Australia or in New Zealand. So I returned home in 2019. Of course, COVID hit. We spent a lot of time stuck in our apartment, sitting on the couch. A concept gradually formed in my head. Eventually, the second Vanuatu's borders opened in 2022, a group of us returned to run a POCUS course. We named it Pearls. Hopefully, the acronym is self-explanatory. POCUS, that's point of care ultrasound done at the bedside by the clinician for emergency and acute care in resource-limited settings. And we ran that inaugural course for 10 ED doctors in Vanuatu. We handed out 10 ultrasound probes. We had such a great time, enjoyed ourselves so much. In the top left there's that initial faculty group from the left, Dr. Dasim Haji, Joe McCann, myself, and Dr. Mick Killeen. And the course content, it was modified to fit the local context, which I'd become familiar with from working there. So we primarily taught EFAST first trimester and ultrasound guided IV lines. But the most novel element of what we did is how we conducted the post-course image review using a secure online cloud platform. So here we have a screen, and imagine, put yourself in the shoes of a faculty member. You've just returned from running a course in Tonga, and you're sitting on your own couch at home, your smartphone pings, that means that one of your learners has just uploaded a scan to the cloud. You think, I'm going to have a look at this. You click on the relevant folder, pick the study that you want to go look at. Of course, really important to mention here, we heavily emphasize anonymizing patient details to maintain patient privacy. So we click on the patient, and we see the images. We click on the image we're interested in, and here we have free fluid in the right upper quadrant, nicely labeled. All right, so time to give a bit of a feedback, and we're going to have a learning conversation with our learner. So we've got our faculty giving some comments back and forth with the learner. How can we optimize that image? How do we interpret that, integrate that into patient management? And just to go through that process in a little more granular detail, imagine you're flicking through your images here. Here's an image I want to put a comment on. So I'm going to click on that comment box at the bottom, and I'm going to write great demonstration of free fluid at liver tip and the all important emoji. So that's going to post, and that's going to ping in their learner's own pocket whenever you've given that feedback. So I think it's really important that everything we do is user friendly from both ends, and helps foster that connection ongoing between learner and faculty. So what's happened since then? Well, 2 years ago we ran that course, and things have really exploded since. So since then we've trained 89 clinicians across 8 countries and distributed 36 probes, often matched with a compatible device to plug into. We are just now expanding beyond the Pacific, recently to Botswana, and as I record this, a course occurring in Nepal. We have 28 diverse faculty members from across emergency medicine, ICU, rural generalists. We've got sonographers, echocardiographers. They've traveled to teach 10 PEARLS courses and reviewed more than 750 studies on the cloud. We've partnered with the ICU community to create a PEARLS Crit Care course focused on echocardiography. We conduct monthly online Zoom lectures, which are uploaded to YouTube. Monthly online image review sessions, where learners can log in and just talk casually through some recent scans they've done. A monthly newsletter, sharing news from all of our team. We're launching a charity so we can continue receiving support from so many of our generous sponsors. And probably the thing I'm most proud of, by the end of 2024, we hope to have 6 Melanesian doctors onboarded as faculty. This is really exciting as we move towards a local ownership of our PEARLS Collaborative and start to foster that train the trainer model and mindset. Now, having gone through all this for the last couple of years, I thought, hey, I bet there's many other groups out there around the world doing something similar. And here are 5 lessons for global health ultrasound training from our PEARLS team that I thought we could share to help others out who are doing similar things. And of course, we're going to call them PEARLS, Pearls of Wisdom. The first one, Pearl number 1, when building a team, I recommend that you include clinicians from start to finish of the clinical life cycle. What do I mean by that? So to start with, way over on the left, you've got your youngsters, including your mid students. They might have more time, they might be more intuitive in getting their head around the tech and the gadgetry. They could act in admin roles, and they really enjoy being part of this project. They can really thrive working closely with doctors. Med students can sometimes get really sick of being ignored in the back of a ward round in medical school. So include those med students. They can really be the beating heart of your organization. Then you've got your mid-range sonologists. So these people are upskilling in ultrasound, getting really proficient. They might have their head deep in the theory, getting some qualifications. And they're going to really grow through being part of this project. And you want them to really start to foster that educator skill set as early as possible. This kind of project can help with that. Lastly, you've got your Late career, you're wiser clinicians. You know, they might not have the time to put in large amounts of grunt work, but you'll turn to them for their educational experience, their strategic vision, the contacts that they have, the resources that they have access to, and they'll help you avoid some pitfalls as you grow. So that's pearl number one. Pearl number two is to form a learning ecosystem. And everything on the screen here combines to wrap around the learner with diverse educational opportunities. I think of it as full immersion. You know, the learner is being frequently pinged with reminders to scan, opportunities to learn and grow. Pearls stays front of mind. So pearl number two is form a learning ecosystem. Pearl number three is don't get disheartened after a course about low engagement. So this is one of our faculty, you know, they've just come back from a course. They were keen as mustard, but now they're waiting for the learners to start uploading to the cloud. But spoiler alert, there will be periods where you'll face low upload rates. I think this is such a multifactorial issue that is complex. Each learner is going to have different barriers to uploading to your cloud. But the primary issue is, you know, doctors that you teach have competing demands in their personal and professional lives, just like all of us. And they're going to go through seasons of engagement. You just need to accept that. There's going to be some who drop out completely. You know, probably POCUS is just not clicking for everyone, but hopefully you also have your champions, your real super users. They're going to become really enthused by the concepts that you teach. The other thing is, you know, your cloud uploads are probably just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what the scanning that's happened. We know this from our departments back home here in Australia. So much scanning happens that is not saved, not recorded, but is happening. Also, I think it's really important to be patient and think in a long timeline. You know, me personally, I first touched a probe in 2008 as a med student. And then there were some years where I never touched a probe. Here I am now though, in 2024, I feel like I'm still improving. I'm learning every day. Some years I had a real surge in my progress. Some years I've probably plateaued. It's not a linear progression for these learners. And of course, there's many barriers to uploading, such as Wi-Fi access, data access, and many other such things. So don't get disheartened by low upload rates. Pearl number 4, leverage doctors' competitiveness and drive for achievement. Now, it's probably no surprise that doctors tend to have a type A personality and they're quite competitive. I'm generalizing, of course, but we can leverage that. So a few things we've tried. We publish a top 5 monthly uploaders list each month in our newsletter. We have end of year annual awards for our learners, top learners, hand out some awards. And then we really celebrate excellence when we promote learners to faculty and, you know, give them maybe some travel opportunities to go and teach in other countries. So pearl number 4 is to leverage doctors' competitiveness and drive for achievement. And lastly, pearl number 5 is that it's all about relationships. So this is us on that original Vanuatu course, and we are being taught the correct way to drink kava. From the left, Ryan, Lawrence, Vega, myself, and my colleague Dasim. So look, to be honest with you, kava is not my favorite beverage, but you know, it's been such an honor to get to know these guys, and the least I could do is join them in a shell or two. But the pearl here is it's all about relationships, just like everything in life. And each learner gets assigned a pearls coach after the course. We really want that coach to get to know the learner, their learning style, where they're at personally or professionally, when to hold back or when to maybe push them, show them a bit of tough love or be a bit more gentle in trying to progress their scanning, and just providing that longitudinal follow-up. So look, we really feel that it's all about relationships, and the coach-learner relationship is really important. So those are my 5 lessons. Now, when I gave this talk at the conference, the session I was in was titled Breaking the Rules. I think at Pearls, we're not trying to be renegades, but we are trying to achieve something pretty ambitious. We cross barriers of language, geography, culture, Wi-Fi and data access, technical glitches, socioeconomic barriers, different patterns of medical practice. So, when we're trying to deliver training like this, we have managed to break some rules along the way. So look, here are 5 ultrasound training rules that Pearls has broken. Breaking rule number 1, you need expensive phantoms? Well, no. There are really affordable options here that we can use to make phantoms. You can see on the left, tofu, in the middle, chicken. And these can be made in country and are really high quality compared to the factory made ones, especially when you get that chicken, that real animal tissue. So, you don't need expensive phantoms in order to train your learners in ultrasound guided IV access. Breaking rule number 2, courses need comprehensive lectures. Well, look, no. We've gotten access to a full suite of video lecture material, online textbooks that are free open access. So learners can acquire the theory pre-course. And as we know, courses actually need to be focused on the hands-on learning. That's the real value add. If you're going to fly somewhere, go all that way, you may as well spend the time really at the bedside with the learners. Breaking rule number 3, POCUS training is expensive. Well, no. Until now, every course that we've run has been delivered completely free of charge. We are about to trial a small fee for our courses and we'll see how that goes. But, until now, faculty have volunteered their time, companies have provided generous global health discounts for their products, and we've received a diverse array of grants and things to fund probes and things like that. This is where I really have to acknowledge the Australasian College for Emergency Medicine. I was recently honored to be awarded the ASIM Foundation International Development Grant, which will support upcoming courses in the Solomon Islands and Samoa. So a really huge thank you to ASIM for that support. Breaking rule number 4, you'll need to buy each department a cart-based machine to use post-course. Well, no, as we've talked about, there's really affordable, high quality probes that can be plugged into devices shared between doctors, and they're mobile. They can be transported out to remote clinics or outreaches, things like that from the main hospital. Lastly, breaking rule number 5, if learners have no in-person support post-course, their skills will decay. Now, I acknowledge that post-course skill decay is a real phenomenon. We've all ourselves been on courses, whether they're ultrasound or otherwise, where we return home, we don't undertake the skill for a month or 2, and we've completely forgotten what we tried to learn. But I think we managed to bypass this rule through our remote post-course mentorship through the online cloud. We conduct the return courses, follow-up trips. We've got our Zoom calls, our online training, and we engage any local expertise, the sonographers or otherwise, to support our learners. So look, today, hopefully I've inspired some of you by what we've achieved at Pearls across the globe. Here are the 9 countries we'll have delivered training in by the end of 2024. Apologies to Nepal, just dropped off the map at the top there. And look, I said at the conference, if we can achieve this on such a grand geographical scale, there's no reason that coming back to our comparatively small state of Victoria, why we couldn't deliver something similar. And Pearls has been such a wild ride, and it will continue to be. But hey, in honor of Victoria's thriving horticultural industry, I thought maybe if we brought something similar home to here, we could call it the PEARS course. So POCUS for emergency and acute care in relatively resource-rich rural settings. Just a thought. And with that, thank you so much for following me along with our lessons and broken rules in the last couple of years. Please get in touch. I love to hear from any of you out there doing something similar. We can collaborate, we can learn from each other, and who knows what the next few years will bring. Thank you so much.